We're diving headfirst into a discussion about China's increasingly aggressive tactics towards Taiwan, the blatant disregard for international norms, and a dangerous game of brinkmanship that threatens global peace. The evidence is overwhelming.
Indeed. China's actions aren't just concerning, they're a clear and present danger. Their gray zone tactics designed to obfuscate aggression are a cynical attempt to achieve their goals without triggering a direct military response.
Right. It's a calculated strategy of intimidation and coercion, a kind of modern-day imperialism masked under a veneer of ambiguity. They're pushing the boundaries, testing the resolve of the international community, I think.
And the world seems hesitant to respond decisively. That emboldens them further. The lack of strong, unified condemnation allows China to continue its expansionist agenda with impunity.
Precisely. The international community needs to wake up and smell the coffee. This isn't a game. It's a serious threat to regional and global stability. Let's dissect these gray zone tactics. We're not talking about conventional warfare. This is a slow burn, a creeping encroachment on Taiwan's sovereignty. Fishing boats masquerading as military vessels, incursions into air defense identification zones. It's all part of a deliberate strategy.
It's a calculated campaign of harassment and destabilization. The goal is to wear down Taiwan's defenses, to erode its international support, and to create a climate of fear and uncertainty. It's a form of psychological warfare, really.
Yeah. And it's not just limited to Taiwan. The South China Sea is another prime example. China's aggressive claims and actions there are destabilizing the entire region. Their disregard for international law is shocking.
Absolutely. China's behavior in the South China Sea is a textbook case of bullying on a global scale. They're flouting international maritime law, ignoring the rulings of international tribunals, and intimidating smaller nations.
It's a pattern of behavior that should alarm everyone. This isn't just about territorial disputes. It's about a nation that believes it's above the rules, a nation that's willing to use any means necessary to achieve its ambitions. Their ambitions extend beyond land grabs. China's pursuit of naval dominance is equally alarming. Their plans for control of the first and second island chains by 2030 and 2050, respectively, are a clear indication of their expansionist goals.
This isn't just about projecting power. It's about controlling vital sea lanes, choking off access to resources, and ultimately dominating the region. It's a direct threat to global trade and security.
And their investment in their navy is substantial. The development of new aircraft carriers, the modernization of their fleet, it's all part of a long-term strategy to assert their dominance. This isn't a fleeting ambition. It's a carefully crafted plan.
The scale of their investment underscores their seriousness. They're not just talking about naval dominance, they're actively building it. This should be a wake-up call for the rest of the world.
The implications are far-reaching. Control of the seas translates to control of trade, resources, and ultimately global influence. China's ambitions are not confined to their immediate neighborhood. The international community's response, or rather the lack thereof, is deeply troubling. Where is the unified condemnation? Where is the decisive action to counter China's aggression?
The hesitancy stems from a complex interplay of economic interests and geopolitical considerations. Many nations are reluctant to antagonize China due to their economic ties. This reluctance is a dangerous form of appeasement.
Right. Appeasement rarely works. History teaches us that giving in to bullies only emboldens them. China's actions demonstrate a complete disregard for international law and norms. This needs to be addressed firmly and decisively.
We need a coordinated international response, a clear and unambiguous message that China's actions are unacceptable. Economic sanctions, diplomatic pressure, and a strengthening of alliances are all necessary tools.
And we need to be prepared for the worst-case scenario. China's brinkmanship is a dangerous game, and we cannot afford to underestimate their willingness to use force. Let's talk about Taiwan's defense. While Taiwan's geography and climate present challenges to a full-scale invasion, China's gray zone tactics are designed to circumvent these obstacles.
Taiwan is developing countermeasures, employing asymmetric warfare strategies to deter a full-scale invasion. But these tactics are only a part of the solution. They need strong international support.
Taiwan's resilience is commendable, but they cannot do this alone. The international community has a responsibility to assist Taiwan in defending itself against China's aggression.
The provision of defensive weaponry, intelligence sharing, and diplomatic support are all crucial. Taiwan's defense is not just Taiwan's concern, it's a matter of global security.
The world should understand that allowing China to successfully annex Taiwan would set a dangerous precedent, emboldening them to pursue further expansionist goals. China's aggression isn't limited to military actions. Economic coercion is another weapon in their arsenal. They use their economic clout to pressure other nations into submission.
This economic warfare is a subtle but effective tool. China leverages its trade relationships to exert influence, punishing those who oppose them and rewarding those who comply. It's a form of blackmail, really.
This economic coercion undermines the principles of free trade and fair competition. It's a blatant attempt to manipulate the global economy for political gain.
The international community needs to develop strategies to counter this economic coercion. Diversifying supply chains, strengthening trade alliances, and imposing targeted sanctions are all necessary steps.
We cannot allow China to dictate the terms of global trade. Economic independence and resilience are crucial to countering their influence. The risk of a full-scale conflict is very real. China's actions are pushing the world closer to the brink. Their rhetoric is increasingly bellicose, and their actions are increasingly provocative.
The potential consequences of a conflict are catastrophic. It would not only devastate the region, but could also escalate into a wider global conflict. The stakes are incredibly high.
The international community needs to send a clear message that a war over Taiwan is unacceptable. We need to deter China from taking such a reckless step.
Deterrence requires a combination of strength and diplomacy. We need to demonstrate our resolve to defend Taiwan while also keeping open channels for communication and de-escalation.
The path to peace is not through appeasement, but through strength and unity. The world needs to stand together against China's aggression. The global community has a crucial role to play in preventing a conflict. We cannot stand idly by while China continues its aggressive actions.
We need a coordinated international effort to pressure China to de-escalate. This requires strong leadership and a willingness to take difficult decisions.
Economic sanctions, diplomatic pressure, and military deterrence are all necessary tools. We cannot afford to be complacent.
The international community must send a clear message that China's actions are unacceptable and will not be tolerated. We need to uphold the rules-based international order.
The future of peace and stability in the region, and indeed the world, depends on our collective response. China's use of misinformation and propaganda is another concerning aspect of their strategy. They actively spread disinformation to manipulate public opinion and undermine their opponents.
This information warfare is a crucial part of their overall strategy. They use it to sow discord, spread doubt, and create confusion. It's a form of psychological warfare.
Combating this disinformation requires a concerted effort to expose their lies and promote accurate information. We need to be vigilant against their propaganda.
Media literacy and critical thinking skills are essential tools in this fight. We need to be able to identify and counter their disinformation campaigns.
The international community needs to develop strategies to counter China's disinformation campaigns. This requires collaboration between governments, media organizations, and civil society. China's actions are not isolated incidents. They are part of a long-term strategy to reshape the global order in their favor. This is a fundamental challenge to the existing international system.
Their ambition is not merely regional dominance, it's a global power grab. They aim to challenge the United States' hegemony and establish a new world order.
This requires a long-term strategy from the international community to counter China's ambitions. We need to be prepared for a protracted struggle.
This requires a sustained commitment to strengthening alliances, promoting democracy, and upholding the rules-based international order. It's a battle for the future of the world.
We must be vigilant and proactive in countering China's ambitions. The stakes are too high to afford complacency. This discussion has highlighted the gravity of China's actions and the urgent need for a strong and unified international response. The future of peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific and beyond depends on our collective resolve. Thanks for being here.